There's a brown bottle in your medicine cabinet right now. You paid about $1.50 for it, maybe $2, and it has been sitting there since the last time someone skinned their knee. What I'm about to tell you is that the same bottle you have been ignoring is one of the most useful things you can bring into your garden. And the reason nobody in the garden industry has thought to mention it is simple. There is no money in it for anyone who sells you $20 sprays. I have been using hydrogen peroxide in my garden for nearly 20 years. I started because I was desperate. I had a flat of tomato seedlings collapsing at the soil line, and a neighbor told me to try a diluted spray before I threw the whole tray in the compost. I was skeptical. I tried it anyway. Every single seedling came back. That was the moment I stopped thinking of this as a first aid item and started treating it as a garden tool I could not do without. Now, before we go any further, I want you to stay for the one near the end of this, because it saved a rose bush I'd been growing from my grandmother's cutting for 11 years. I was 3 days away from ripping it out of the ground. If you have ever watched a plant you loved slowly fall apart and felt like there was nothing left to do, that one is for you. First, the bottle. The standard 3% solution at any drugstore. The plain brown bottle, usually under $2, not the stronger concentrations sold for other purposes. At high concentrations, hydrogen peroxide burns plants rather than helps them. 3%, diluted further for most uses. Keep it simple, and it works. Reach for anything stronger, and you are solving a problem you do not have. The first thing it does, and this is the one that surprises most gardeners, is release oxygen directly into your soil. Hydrogen peroxide is water with one extra oxygen molecule attached, and when it contacts the soil, that molecule breaks free. Roots breathe just like we do, and soil that has been overwatered or packed down too hard slowly suffocates them. 1 tablespoon of the 3% solution per quart of water poured as a drench at the base of the plant gives stressed roots something to work with. I've seen struggling plants visibly improve within 2 days of a single treatment. Plants I'd already started writing off. The second use is fungal disease, and this is the one that will save you the most money over a season. Powdery mildew, black spot, the gray fuzzy rot that moves through strawberries after a wet week, all fungal, and hydrogen peroxide disrupts them at the cellular level. The spray is 1 tablespoon per quart of water, mixed fresh each time, applied in the evening or on a cloudy day. I learned the hard way that spraying in full midday sun leaves wet leaves exposed to heat, and that burns. Evening application every time. Garden centers sell treatments for powdery mildew that run $25 a bottle. I have been managing the same problem with something that costs less than $2 and works just as well. Trust me on this one. Now, dampen off. This is the silent killer that almost took my tomato seedlings that first year, and it is the reason I started down this path at all. It is a fungal condition that attacks seedlings right at the soil line, and it moves quickly. One day they look fine. 2 days later, they are pinched flat at the base, like something snipped them with scissors. If you start seeds indoors, you have probably seen this and not always known what you were dealing with. A preventive spray of half a tablespoon per quart of water applied to the soil surface before you ever see symptoms stops it entirely. I have not lost a seedling flat to dampen off in 15 years. That one habit alone is worth everything. This is actually what I kept coming back to when I was building the Lazy Garden blueprint. I watched gardeners lose early season work to problems that were entirely preventable, just because nobody had told them the simple habits that stop those problems before they start. So I built the first section around exactly that, set-up habits that protect what you plant from the moment it goes in the ground. It is on screen now if you want it, but let me tell you about root rot, because this is the one that saved the rose. Root rot happens when roots sit in waterlogged soil too long. Oxygen drains out, a particular group of pathogens moves in, and the roots die from the tips inward. By the time the plant shows you something is wrong above ground, the damage has been happening below for weeks. My grandmother's rose was going limp and yellow in good weather, not responding to anything I tried. I finally pulled it, examined the roots, and knew immediately. I mixed 3 tablespoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide per gallon of water, soaked the root ball for 30 minutes, cut away every dead root, and replanted in fresh soil. That rose is still in my garden today. I wasted 3 summers before I knew this trick, and now you do not have to. For pest pressure, aphids, spider mites, the soft-bodied insects that colonize the undersides of leaves, hydrogen peroxide works as a direct contact treatment at 2 tablespoons per quart of water. It does not leave residue behind. It does not linger on your herbs or your vegetables. It breaks down into water and oxygen within hours, which means it is gone long before anything you grow ends up on your table. I have been using this in my kitchen herb bed for years, precisely because I want nothing persistent on plants I am going to eat. One more. And this is the kind of thing your grandmother knew and nobody teaches anymore. Clean your pruners between plants. Garden shears carry fungal and bacterial disease from one plant to the next, and most gardeners spread problems across their whole garden without ever understanding how they got there. A quick spray of undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide on the blades between cuts takes 10 seconds. I started doing this after one bad season where I pruned roses in the morning and watched the disease follow the exact path I had walked. That was a lesson I only needed once. Out of everything we have gone through today, the soil drench, the mildew spray, the dampen off prevention, the root rot treatment, which one is describing something you're dealing with right now in your garden? Drop it in the comments. Gardeners in different climates and different zones are reading those answers, and your real experience helps someone else figure out whether this is worth trying for a problem just like yours. Now, knowing that a $2 bottle can solve problems that were costing you $25 is one thing. Building a garden that does not keep creating those same conditions season after season, soil that suffocates, overcrowded beds that stay wet, plants set up for fungal pressure from the start. That's a different conversation, and it's the one I built the Lazy Garden blueprint around. I spent years watching good gardeners fight the same battles every season because of how the garden was laid out, not because of anything they were doing wrong once it was growing. The lazy layer. Method is the foundation. Plant combinations that work together, soil that breathes, coverage that crowds out the conditions where most of these problems begin. It takes 30 days to set up, and it costs something, because putting the whole system together took real time and real seasons of testing. The link is on screen. If you want fewer problems and less fighting every summer, that is where it is. The brown bottle has been sitting in your cabinet doing nothing for your garden long enough. Now you know what it can do. Go mix your first quart. See you in the next one.